What if you could just reach right out and touch an angel? Find out more on this episode of the Real Life Angel Encounters. Angels. We all have them. They're our unseen guides, our companions, our teachers, and they're all around us. Sometimes they make themselves known in the most miraculous ways. Join me, Level 3 QHHT practitioner, angel communicator, and Reiki master, Christi Hoffman, with stories from real people who have experienced uplifting phenomena and real-life angel encounters. Hello and welcome back to the Real Life Angel Encounters podcast, the award-winning podcast for those who like their paranormal with a hefty dose of positivity and their spirituality with actual spirits sometimes. I am your host, Christi Hoffman. I'm a Reiki master, level 3 QHHT practitioner and spiritual medium based in beautiful Kansas City. So glad to have you listening today. You have lots of choices in your podcast, in your content, and I'm just so happy that you're here. In this episode, we're going to be hearing from several people who've had extraordinary events happen to them. Before we get too much further, though, I would love it if you could help this show out. If you like this kind of thing, if you like to hear positive, uplifting, spiritual, paranormal, positive stories, then help us grow so we get more of them. The more listeners we get, the more stories they share and the more content that you can listen to. It's a win-win Ponzi scheme. So there are a few things that you can do to help out. One is to like this episode. Simple thing to do. Wherever you're listening, you should have a way to do that. Just like or heart this episode. Also, subscribe or follow to this podcast in general. Super easy to do. Whatever platform you are on right now, there is a way to do that. And that way you'll be notified the next time that we have a new episode out. Also, something simple to do is tell a friend. Hey, I heard this really great story on the Real Life Angel Encounters. I think you should listen to it. You'd be surprised how many people just like you also believe in angels, miracles, otherworldly beings who are here to help us. And then lastly, if you are in a position to do so, would you please drop a tip in the tip bucket? This podcast will always be free for you to listen to, but it's not free for me to produce. There are costs associated with hosting, there are costs associated with editing, and also the graphics that we create. So there's a link in the show notes where you can drop down and just send a couple bucks our way. Just it helps out more than you know. Anyway, on with the show. First up on the podcast, we have some stories from the Real Life Angel Encounters Facebook group. Yes, there is a Facebook group. It's free to join, so please go join that group. It's a place where you can talk to other listeners of Real Life Angel Encounters, people just like you who believe that miracles can and do happen, who believe that there are otherworldly beings who have our best interest and who really do care for us, as evidenced in these stories, at least. And so the first story that I have here was given by permission for me to read from Anita. And it says, yes, I have often got signs when I am very down and needing spiritual rescue. I will suddenly be alerted to my phone and it says 11:11. Also a light brush of my hair or back. I was missing my mom on Mother's Day and I was in the bathroom, tearful. I suddenly felt a touch and part hug around my back. I knew instantly it was my mom. Mom, I love our UK and our foreign off-seas listeners. So please keep these comments coming. It's great. Now, our next story comes from someone who just gives their name as Wild Nature, which I would imagine could be pronounced Wild Nature. This listener says, when my son was about 7, he was talking to God and asking if angels were real. He said he put his finger out and said, if angels are real, touch my finger. And he felt the most intense love and literally just started bawling his eyes out. He said he could feel the molecules or something touch his fingertip, and it flowed through his whole body, and he felt the most intense love he's ever felt in his entire life. She goes on to say, or they go on to say, there was more to it as well. Soon after he told me what happened, I was telling him that we could send angels to help people. And so he started praying for his dad, and I had my eyes open. And right when he asked an angel to go help his dad, I literally saw this beautiful light movement behind him go straight up and out the window really fast. And I knew it was going toward his dad's house. Aren't those great? All of these stories from the Facebook group are really wonderful. And I have to say that this experience of seeing 1111, first of all, is very common. And maybe you do as well. Or maybe your number is 222 or 333 or 1234. I know that when I see angel numbers, sometimes they'll rotate. And for a while, it will be 1234, sometimes 234. And then it will be several instances of 222 or 444. You might experience those as well. And I always think of those number sequences and those repeating numbers as a hug from your angels, from your angelic team, just saying, hey, just wanted you to know we're with you. We've never left. You're good. Isn't that comforting? I love it. And then the feeling of this love that our second experiencer had mentioned, wild nature, and this feeling of intense love that we have when we are surrounded, when we are in connection with the other side and our angels, there's nothing like it. It is the most amazing feeling. And I will often see this in QHHT or quantum healing hypnosis sessions. In fact, that's something I like to ask about for my client. When we are with the client's subconscious and talking to our loved ones on the other side, our higher self on the other side, who we truly are on the other side, I will often ask, can you just show Brian or Susie how much they are loved? And then flow that love into their body so they can really feel it and remember it. It's a life-changing experience. People will feel profound shifts of emotion. They will feel profound gratitude and just the love. It's amazing. You know, our guides really do love us. And just like the second experiencer, they answer our prayers. And if we ask for help for a loved one, we ask help for someone, they're going to send out their emissaries to go help right away. So I thought all of these stories were really, really wonderful. And next up on the podcast, we have Lon, who is a repeat caller. I love our repeat guests. Lon is from the Wichita area, and this story is really unique. Now, if you've been listening at all for any length of time, you know that I've had a few guests and a few stories who talk about aliens or extraterrestrials. Actually, they prefer to be called extraterrestrials, and their connection with the angelic or the divine or the spiritual. So I'll leave this up to you, the listener. Listen to Lon's story. Lon wasn't sure who he was interacting with. And after hearing his story, I wasn't exactly sure either. See what you think. Alien? Extraterrestrial? Angel? Guide? Spiritual being? Yes, all of the above. See what you think. And now we have Lon, who's a return caller from Wichita, but this time has a story of being in the woods. Hi, Lon, and welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back.
Yeah. So the woods, well, why don't you just start telling it, because I'll have lots of questions as you go.
Right. So I'll back up a little bit. So from the previous session, I've been having these experiences since I was 5 years old that I recall of encountering what I call entities. And it was always confusing, a little disconcerting sometimes, depending on who these entities were. But then when I was about 24, I was in school at University of Kentucky studying architecture. And I woke up one morning and I thought, I'd been reading a book called On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and a well-known book, and chronicles his travels around the country. And I remember thinking, man, when I'm 50, that seemed really old at the time, but when I'm 50, I probably won't be able to do all these things I want to do, have all these adventures I want to have, traveling around and climbing mountains and doing things. So I sold everything I had. I dropped out of school, much to my parents' chagrin, and I bought an old Chevy van and an old enduro motorcycle and mounted it on the back and built a little camper before van life was popular. And I just took off and traveled all over the country. And it was a wild experience. I mean, I could tell you all kinds of crazy stories of things that happened, but I'm going to focus on this one particular thing because during that time I'd been reading a lot of religious philosophy. And one of the things that congealed for me was that most of the people upon whom major religions were based spent time, quote unquote, in the woods. Jesus Christ, 40 days and 40 nights, and so on and so forth. Not kind of naively decided that this is something that I needed to do. And I was living in and around Lake Tahoe, California at the time. And there was a river called the Consumas. And I just decided that I was going to go and kind of walk into the woods and spend time in the wilderness, which I did. I was smart enough to buy some pretty nice gear and some books on edible plants and trapping and things like that. So I was able to survive well enough. But it was during that time that I had the experience that I'm going to describe. I'd been out of the woods maybe 3 or 4 months, really living in isolation. I mean, I was probably 40 or 50 miles from the nearest next anything. And it was this real situation where, like, if I'd gotten hurt or something like that, there was nobody to help me. It was, in the beginning, kind of a frightening experience. I didn't realize I was quite so afraid of the dark. Because, when we live in cities, it gets dark at night, but it's not really dark. There's light everywhere. And you don't realize how much light there is until you're in the middle of nowhere and there is zero light and you can barely see your hand in front of your face. So I was having all of those experiences. And it was probably 3 or 4 months into this experience. And one night I was just sitting at my fire. It was probably 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I would guess. And I heard a noise about 50 yards out, maybe into the woods. So in that part of the world, that could be probably a black bear, a deer, or a cougar, none of which you really want to encounter at night in the dark in the woods. And so the smart thing would have been to stay at my fire. I mean, I didn't have any guns. I had some knives, but there was something inside of me that compelled me. I could not stop myself from getting up and walking toward this sound. I just felt like I had to walk toward this sound. And in my mind, I was thinking, this is dangerous. I should not be doing this. But I just couldn't stop myself. It was just a curiosity, I guess. And so I kept walking and I got closer and closer and closer to the sound. And as I got closer to the sound, like literally on top of it, I still couldn't see anything. I just heard the sound. And then something hit me in the chest really hard. And I fell backward onto my back. And my immediate thought, I really thought it was probably a bear. Although black bears are not horribly aggressive in the wild. I mean, I had encountered lots of black bears, and usually they just kind of go the other direction when they see a human. But anyway, it's the only thing I could imagine that it was, because it hit me really hard, and that's probably the only thing that could have hit me that hard. So I fell back onto my back, and I was laying there, and my immediate reaction was to jump up and run, but I couldn't move. I couldn't move my body at all.
Oh.
And so I'm just laying there on the ground thinking, like, my immediate thought was, this bear is going to jump on top of me and maul me and kill me and eat me. And that didn't happen. Nothing happened. The sound went away. There was no attack. There was no cougar. There was no bear. There was no deer. And so I'm just laying there trying to move, but I can't move. I'm just completely immobilized, paralyzed, I guess, if you will. And I was also paralyzed with fear. Probably more fear than I've experienced in my life any other time. And so as I'm laying there and I'm thinking, okay, what is going on? Why can't I move my body? Some amount of time passed. I can't even tell you how long, because from that point forward, time didn't seem the same. I don't know how else to describe it. A lot of this stuff, it's almost beyond one's ability to describe with words, but I'll do my best to do so. So I was laying there and suddenly I sort of realized, oh, my body is moving upward. Somehow, I don't know how this is happening, but I'm moving upward. And I moved more higher and higher and higher until I was probably, I would say, like 20 or so feet in the air, which 20 feet, when you're just standing like in a room that's 20 feet wide, 20 feet doesn't seem like that much. When
What-
you're up in the air 20 feet in a horizontal position, it's like being on a rooftop.
Wow.
And I looked down, and when I looked down, I saw myself on the ground.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm laying there in this horizontal position for some time. Again, time really didn't
Right.
seem relevant somehow,
Right. Mm-hmm.
but I'm laying there in this position. And then I notice far, far up in the sky, there's a light. Now, everyone knows how light naturally works. I mean, if you have a flashlight and you shine a flashlight, it's going to shine, it's going to beam across the room until it hits a wall or a chair or an object, and then it's going to stop. But this light wasn't working that way. It's like I could see the end of the beam of light. I don't know how else to describe it. Again, a lot of this stuff is just beyond description, really, but I could see the end of the light, and I could see it moving downward, 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 and toward me. And when it finally got to me, it was aimed at my chest. And again, I was just, I'm like, what in the heck is going on here? And this light touched my chest and went, again, only way to describe it is that it went inside of me. And the light was still there, but it went inside of me and it filled me.
Wow.
And it was from that point forward, fear was gone and euphoria. Like, again, it's hard to describe this stuff, but if you could imagine the most peaceful experience you've ever had in your life, like maybe sitting on a beach in a tropical paradise on a beautiful sunny day and the birds are singing, like whatever. Imagine the most peaceful moment of your life and then multiply that times infinity. It was the most amazing feeling that I've ever had anytime ever. And it was something that I would like never wanted to end because it was like
fine.
I mean, when I was younger, I was a drug user, I mean, I smoked pot and did other things. Any high experience that I ever had from smoking pot or anything like that, it paled in comparison to the feeling that I had with this. It was just an unbelievable feeling, overwhelming. Like I cried. It was so overwhelming. So then again, some time passed, I guess, I don't know. And I suddenly felt like there was something enveloping me. And in fact, it kind of was. And like I was inside of this pod or whatever. I don't know how else to describe it. It was just like I was inside of this thing. It was pretty big, but I could reach out and touch it, and it was soft.
It was
soft. Yeah, it was soft. It wasn't
it wasn't metallic or.
It wasn't metallic or anything. It was organic. It was an organic thing.
Oh my God.
It was really felt like a living thing that enveloped me, which that in and of itself should have caused you to go like, what's happening here? Like to be really fearful, but I had no fear whatsoever.
Oh my, so this is a crazy off the wall question, but what color was it inside?
It was just kind of an amorphous. It wasn't a bright color or anything like that. It was a very, like I said, very organic, like a natural, like browns and greens, I guess, or whatever. Like It was very organic. Well, I would almost call it like, if I had to liken it to anything, like a plant almost.
Interesting. Yeah, I was wondering if it might have been pink, like some sort of organic animal or being like that, a physical animal or physical being. No, more like oh, interesting. Did you know?
It was more like a plant than anything else. That's the way it felt to me.
Yeah. Did you notice any details like doors or rivets or compartments or anything?
No, there wasn't anything like that. There was nothing mechanical about it. It was really an organic, but I want to stress that it was alive. Like it wasn't like some inanimate object, like a space capsule or something like that.
Right. Or like
yeah. This was a living thing. Like you could feel it. Like you could feel its vibrations and
yeah.
It was crazy. So, okay. So I'm inside of this thing and I'm thinking, okay, what in the world is going on here? I have no idea.
Understandably.
And then fairly suddenly, abruptly, it was like I still sensed that thing was there, but it was suddenly like I was immersed in experiences. Again, it's so hard to describe this, but it's like I was seeing all of this stuff that happened, whatever, maybe the beginning of the universe and like all these historic events. And some of them I recognize, like always been sort of a bit of a Civil War aficionado. And I recognized some images from the Civil War, and obviously like famous people. It was like I was seeing the history of the universe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it was just like, it was all happening so rapidly, but it's like I was immersed in it. It's like I was standing at the Gettysburg Address, listening to Abraham Lincoln say the Gettysburg Address.
Oh my gosh.
It was absolutely incredible. And again, like some of the stuff like that, I clearly recognized history that I know. Other things I only tangentially recognized because I was never a big student of like Middle Eastern and Eastern warfare. So like, I just remember seeing these battles that I knew were like Genghis Khan, like kind of ancient battles, and just you name it. I mean, like Roman culture and all of this stuff. It was crazy.
Whoa.
And so that went on for
Like the entire history of the world.
basically, that's what it was. It was like seeing the history of the world, but not the movie.
Just as well.
Just as well. And so that went on for some amount of time. Again, time didn't really seem relevant in that environment.
Yeah.
And then it sort of morphed into old white dude. I call him old white dude. It was like an older man with a big bushy white beard and white hair. And the very first thing he said to me was, "You may think I'm God, but I'm not."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay, who are you?" And he said, "I'm a fellow traveler, and I've come to explain what's happening to you in your life." And I said, "Okay, well, that would be nice because a lot of the stuff that's been happening in my life is very confusing. And that's one of the things that led me to the experience that I'm having in the woods." And he said, "Yes, I know." And so he started talking and explaining that there's so much written in that uses this metaphor that I almost feel like it's passe or like I'm stealing it or something like that. But this is what he said. He said, "We're all travelers and we're traveling through time and space. And we travel through different dimensions. We travel in parallel and perpendicular planes of existence." He said, "They're not really planes, but we can just say that so you can understand it." He said, "It's more like, really the best metaphor is it's more like fabric,
Oh my God.
like woven, and it's like constantly, and those threads are constantly interacting with one another and crossing over one another."
That's wild.
Yeah. And he said, "That's why you have, as humans being, that's why you sometimes have these experiences that you have, because the threads are overlapping and you're experiencing those beings as they pass by you in a very tangential way. You're experiencing what they're experiencing." And he said, "They're not ghosts. They're other living beings who are just in a different plane. And it's just that some people have keener sense. Their senses are keener. And so they can experience that more directly. For other people, it's like, oh, I just felt like Aunt Mabel was in the room or whatever. They can't see, like literally see or hear, touch or anything like that. But some people can. Some people have a stronger experience of that."
Mm-hmm.
So he just kept talking about that. And then he talked about the importance of having as many experiences as possible, that your life should be about having experiences, not about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, you have to maintain your body and you have to have a job and you have to do those things. But along the way, you should be having as many experiences as possible. And I said, "Well, what kind of experiences?" He said, "Everything, anything, whatever you can." Okay. Then he stressed that there are certain people or certain entities that are meant to assist other entities.
Mm-hmm.
And he explained that I was one of those entities that was supposed to help other entities. And that's why I had been received all these visitations from entities from other places or whatever. So that started to make more sense. And he said that I would continue to get those visitations, and it was my choice whether I would help the people that it was recommended I help, and I could choose not to, but that my life would be better if I did.
Wow. So this being who was speaking to you, did
Yeah.
he seem tangible, like three-dimensional? You could touch him?
He looked three-dimensional, but he was not three-dimensional. I mean, he was appearing to me in a form that was recognizable, an old, wise man, kind of thing.
Right. That trope. You're right. It's a character, a stereotype.
Yeah.
But you don't feel his true form?
So I asked him at one point in time, is this how you look? And he didn't say anything. He just changed to a completely different, like suddenly he was a woman in her 20s. And then he immediately changed back. I don't know, changed may not be the right word, but transformed or whatever. He's like, I can look any way that I want to look.
Interesting.
He also said, you could look any way that you want to look too.
Wow.
Yeah. So one of the things, and I know that your podcasts are really about like the angel dynamic and all that.
It's bigger umbrella than that, though. Anything that's positive and uplifting and yet still unexplained or miraculous.
I think I may have talked about this on the last podcast, but I'll repeat it because I think it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things he talked about a lot about was religion. And he specifically talked about all religions, but in talking about Christianity, which is the predominant religion in America, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
What he said is that people who profess the Christian faith have really gotten it all wrong about why Jesus walked this planet.
I agree.
And I said, okay, lay it on me, man. He said, Jesus didn't come here to save us from our sins. Jesus came here to show us what is possible.
Yeah. So
not possible.
He said to save us and show us. So he included himself in the we, the collective we?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Well, which actually ultimately makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what he was saying is that Jesus wasn't doing things like this, all the so-called miracles.
Right. It wasn't a parlor trick.
Not miracles at all.
Wow.
He was just doing things that are physically possible to do in this universe. But we don't yet have the information or the knowledge available to be able to do those things in the way he did it. So one of the examples he gave, and I think I said this in the last podcast, but he talked about the incident of Jesus walking on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And so he walks out on the water, and anybody who knows that story from reading the Bible, as I did when I was a kid, he walked out there and he didn't turn around and say, look at me, look how glorious and wonderful I am. I can walk on the water. What did he say?
Oh, you can do all this and more?
Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He says essentially,
that I do, you can do and more.
Yes. And that's what he said over and over and over in the Bible. But that message has been lost. Basically, what he's saying is you and I are the same. The only difference is I have this knowledge that you don't yet have.
I would even say he had the faith and he knew that this could happen. I think when we know it, that can happen.
And again, I'm sure I'm repeating myself, but if you think about the history of scientific development, 500, 600 years ago, we thought the earth was flat and we didn't understand gravity, all of those things. Now we do. It's commonplace now. There are a few people who still think the world is flat, but
right.
I mean, most knowledgeable people, if you say the earth is flat, they're like, oh, come on. That's crazy. But there was a time when that was the predominant thought, that it was flat and you'd fall off the edge if you went far enough. So it would be presumptuous of us to think that a phenomenon like encountering what I call entities, people call spirits, ghosts, angels, call it what you will.
Mm-hmm. Aliens,
whatever. It would be presumptuous of us to assume that can't exist when so many people are having that experience. It's a phenomenon that happens so frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe it's just a matter that we don't understand it yet. We don't have instruments sensitive enough to detect it and so on and so forth.
Right. Yeah. I believe that these things are occurring all around us. We just don't have perceivers. And I like what they said about the fabric. It's kind of like maybe a loosely woven fabric or a fabric that over time, there's some separation between the threads that you can look through and get a glimpse into that.
Yeah.
And this podcast is all about opening up what the possibilities are, honestly. We're looking beyond what we think of traditional angels with wings and halos and robes and things like that. to
Yeah.
all things that are around us and possible at any given time.
Yes.
Miraculous.
Yeah.
Well,
The other really important thing that he
Mhm.
said was this whole idea of sin and fear. And he said that's all a product of humans trying to control one another.
Right. That's conditioning.
He said the glory of the notion of Christianity is that there is no wrong that will keep you from being. Does
Absolutely.
that make sense?
Hmm. Right. Right. Exactly. Well, going back to what you said earlier, it's all experiences.
Yes. I mean, even the most heinous things that we can think of, this is really hard. I mean, this is the thing I struggled with probably the most after this experience happened.
Hmm.
The things that we think of as the most heinous, and they are heinous acts, are entities of a very low level of evolution, having the experiences that they need to have to develop into a higher level of evolution. It's not that we shouldn't judge those acts by human in our bodies standards and take actions against that. I mean, like when people commit murder, we should definitely take action. And he wasn't proposing, or it wasn't proposing that we not. What he's saying is on a fundamental level, those are just very, very low level, lowly evolved entities that are having experiences that hopefully will help them evolve to a higher level.
Right. I mean, it's experimentation. The end goal is knowledge and growth. And sometimes we have to do experiments that teach us how we don't get there.
Yeah. And I mean, we all know, I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, every single one of us has done things that we're ashamed of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It may not be murder, but those times when we let our emotions get the best of us and we were mean or hurtful or angry or whatever, and we did things that hurt other people. I've done it, and I know we all have.
We all have.
And it's a little bit easier because it's not quite as bad a thing, and we've all done it. It's a little easier to understand the process of it, that it's part of our evolution as being.
Right. Wow.
And then there's this being is a continuum. Like we're never not being. We're just in different forms at different times.
Now, earlier you said something that caught my ear, and I thought it seemed intentional, but maybe it wasn't. You said humans being rather than human beings.
Yeah.
Hey, can you talk about that a bit?
Because that's what we are. We're humans, and we are being in this environment.
That's what I thought you meant. I thought it was intentional. And I'm going to use that from now on. That's exactly what we are. And, my guides tell me all the time that we need to put the experience in the human experience, that we're meant to have all of these experiences, the good, the bad, the horrific, the beneficent, right? So when we get to our life review at the end of the life, then we review, where did we hurt people? How did our actions affect others? So we're just about out of time here, Lon. But I want to know, how did you get back from this?
Okay, so all of this stuff happened that I was describing. And then I was saying to him, whatever this is, I want to stay here. And he said, you're not meant to stay here now. You're not meant to stay here now. I said, but I don't want to leave. This is great, man. And he's like, nope, it's not your time to stay here. And so he went away, and the pod went away, and the light went away. I felt my body. It wasn't my body, but I felt myself going down. And then my body reanimated, and I stood up and I walked back to my camp, and that was the end of it. And then I spent the next 5 years trying to figure, what the heck happened to me?
What the heck was that? I've had a couple of different guests on this show and my other podcast, Radiate Wellness Podcast. If you've not heard it, please go listen to it. But I've had people on these shows talking about the nexus, the juncture between angels and aliens. Are they angels? Are they aliens? Yes. I mean, it's all of that.
There's just all of these beings in various forms, in various places. And again, it's just like a fabric, and I'm following this thread and you're following that thread. And that being over there is following this thread. And every once in a while, we all intersect. And I mean, you can really liken it to okay, we're going to take a family trip and we're going to drive down the highway. And then, so there's some cars coming this way, and we don't really communicate with those people in those cars, but they're there, they're going by. And then every once in a while we stop at a rest stop and, and we'll encounter some people and we may not even communicate with them, but there they are. They're going this way and I'm going this way. And we just kind of encounter each other. And that's how it is. It's just like a fabric, like the fabric of life,
Yeah, I love that. What an amazing story, Lon. I hope you never get to the end of it, quite honestly. I hope you never figure it out because there's always these breadcrumbs to follow.
Yeah, it's true. It was a very powerful experience. It changed my life.
Yeah.
But that old saying, before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. So I had to feed myself and kill some snakes and catch some fish so I could survive,
Absolutely. What an amazing story. Well, it was a pleasure having you back. And I would love to have you on again if you think of any more stories that you feel would be a good fit here, because you're a great storyteller.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
you so much. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and follow and be sure to share this episode. The more people who know about this podcast, the more great story submissions we get. Have a story to share? Email your own real-life angel encounter to angelencounterspodcast@gmail.com or visit radiatewellnesscommunity.com/real-life angel encounters podcast. Or join our Facebook group and continue the discussion. Want to know what your angels and loved ones have to tell you? Schedule an appointment with me at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. A special thanks to James Wheeler for the original music and to Tiffany Baumgarten for the logo design.